Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed. No more backwards thinking, time for thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much from what it used to be. There's so much hate.
Welcome to Truth Forum, a forum to discuss truth in a friendly surrounding like we do at home at the kitchen table. I'm your host, Dr. Tino Smith. I will lead compelling, relatable, and honest conversation. My guests will range from community leaders, professionals, and real people whose story will touch and inspire you. That's going to be on Facebook Live. Discussion will center around relationships, real stories, personal struggles, and amazing, triumphant, and compelling topics in the news. If you'd like to be a guest at the kitchen table, you may call us at 269-255-53. Again, I'd like to before I introduce my guest, I want to recognize my producer, Brother Carl English, and Brother Mike Campbell, my producer, Kara Bowden. The vision is to catalyze, energize, and bring things together. If you're going to be successful at this, you have to network and bring everyone together. Let me introduce and help me introduce my wonderful guests all the way from Battle Creek, Michigan, Miss Teresa Monani and Ramika Gibson. Let's give God a hand for all of them. Okay, yeah, we had a couple bloopers, so that was on Facebook Live, and hey, you know what? Facebook Live is live, and that's what we do. Hey, before we do anything, I'm going to introduce my guest. I have your resume, and I'm very happy to have read your resume, but I would like, to my right, just give us your name and something just brief about you before we go into our actual subjects and topics, and then you do the same thing.
I'm Teresa Momini Young, the Executive Director and Co-Founder for the Women's Co-op in Battle Creek, Michigan.
My name is Ramika Gibson. I am a member of Women's Co-op. I've been around Co-op since 2009. Sat on many committees. That's pretty much.
Okay. Now, before we even ask you all about the Women's Co-op, I've had a chance to meet your facility, go to your facility with our staff, and I was very impressed. But unfortunately, right on Facebook after church, it was posted that report Battle Creek ranked worst city to raise kids. Battle Creek among the worst cities to raise kids, study says. Fox 17 Online. Being in the city of Battle Creek, me returning back to Battle Creek after 30 years, when you read or hear a report like that, Teresa, what's your feeling about that? Just in your own thought, when you hear, hey, your city is one of the worst cities to raise kids.
I think it's painful for any person of any city to hear something like that, because this is my home. This is what I choose to call home, and I don't think it's true of any city, and it's certainly not true of Battle Creek. It's what our residents make it, and so we all have to be residents together and make Battle Creek that great place. I raised 3 children here, and they're all okay, and 2 of them are raising children here, and they're all okay. So I think it's painful is what comes to mind for me. This is my home that you're saying that about.
Ms. Gibson, what you feel about it when you hear that?
I feel that it's not true. No, I wasn't raised in Battle Creek. I came as an adult, but I've seen many kids come out of Battle Creek successful, and I don't believe Battle Creek is what you make it. You know, yeah, there's some parts are bad, but what city is not? You know, so for them to say that, who are you comparing it to? You know what I'm saying? You comparing it to Chicago. You
Flint,
yeah, you comparing it
Detroit.
to Galesburg. Like, who are you comparing it to?
Right,
Like,
right,
it's like apples and oranges.
right,
You know what I'm saying? So all cities have their problems. It is what you make of it.
Well, I'm for sure many may want to chime in on that on Facebook Live. We're curious. We are posting it. Many folks are sharing it. And I feel exactly what the ladies are feeling today. I really would like to know who was given the authority to even make that statement and who actually, answered that question. In my posting, no one asked me. Did anyone ask you about your opinion? Anyone ask you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't know if there's any pastors in the city, if there's any community leaders, male or female, African American, Caucasian, Asian, whatever nationality. Do we know anyone locally? Terrence Todd, governor. Is there anyone that was informed that you took a survey to give your perspective of the city of Battle Creek? If you can, I'd like to share that. Well, right now we're going to move into our actual program. I had a chance to look at your mission statement, but before I even do the mission statement, Women's Co-op, I like to always start off by getting something personal. Teresa, what is something you do on a, just a kind of chill moment, just to relax, wind down? What is that you do?
Lots of different things, I guess. I like to read. I mean, knowledge is power. In fact, I was just reading a book earlier today called A Hillbilly Allergy.
A hillbilly allergy.
Allergy.
Okay. Oh, allergy. Okay.
And in this book, this child was in first grade, second grade, and he wants to impress the teacher by giving a fact about subtraction because they've just started learning it, and he wants to impress the teacher and be the star student. And another student pipes up with a multiplication fact. And, the first kid is like, who is this kid? We haven't even started multiplication yet. And so he left from that feeling like, well, I'm an idiot because I wasn't this star pupil in school and I didn't have this home to back it up. But the reality of it is, what he found out later is knowledge is power. So it wasn't that he was an idiot, it was just that he just didn't possess that knowledge.
Good point. That's a good point. Good point. So what you doing? What's your just relaxed hobby, something you enjoy doing when you're not involved with the community or working?
Honestly, just watching TV or just laying around and messing with my daughter. It's pretty much what I do.
So I had a chance to go to your facility. What I did was I actually looked at your mission and vision statement. It's Women's Co-op, correct?
Correct. One month.
One month co-op is women helping women work together to improve their lives through life management skills, education, and employment opportunities. And your vision, we envision women succeeding in all aspects of their lives, cooperating to build a stronger community. My question to you ladies both is, how are you making that vision come to fruition? What are you all doing? And just give me a history about it, how long you've been in Battle Creek, your role as the executive director, the role you may play. Tell us more about it. The goal is, I would like young ladies, if ladies are the target, to know more about your program on this broadcast.
Well, the program was born out of my own personal struggles of being a single mother of 3 children and struggling just day to day to make ends meet to give my children what every parent wants to give their child, right?
So you started this program?
I did. I was one of the co-founders.
Okay, all right.
And, there are just certain things that you want for your child, a roof over their head, utilities, a nice bed to sleep in at night, books to read, a good school to go to, health insurance. And I was struggling to find all of those things, quality daycare, struggling to keep a job, to keep transportation. I was at minimum wage income. I relocated to Battle Creek 21 years ago now, because my son was an infant and he's going to be 21 at the end of the month. And I just was struggling beyond belief to make those things come true for my children and my family. And so I lived in a trailer park, Triangle Mobile Home Park in Emmett Township. And all the other women that I saw around me were struggling with those same things. And it seemed ridiculous to me that what was missing was that we didn't have those families, those support systems, that network that we could lean into. And we were missing some things that most folks get growing up. And I wanted to make a difference not only for myself, but for other women in that community.
So you and another person is the actual founder. 21 years ago?
Well, about 15 years ago with Co-op, but I came to Battle Creek 21 years ago.
Okay. I'm going to come back with you. What role or what part do you play with the Co-op?
My part?
Yes, Ms. Gibson.
Well, I came to Women's Co-op in 2009.
As a client or as a recipient?
As a member.
It's called okay, so when a person comes to get your help, they're called members?
They become members because we're cooperative, so we're all working together. So the minute that you fill out that application and you become a Women's Co-op member, you have ownership in what we're doing there.
Now, were you in need at the time?
Yeah.
Okay, so as a member, okay, so go ahead, tell me about your story.
Okay, so at that time I was staying with my mom. I came to Women's Co-op in need because, trying to find myself. I was at that time, using drugs and drinking and partying, and I just got tired. I got tired of living the same old stinky mess. So I found the brochure at Grace Health. I was sitting there for a doctor's appointment, and I picked up the brochure, and I was like, what this is about? So I called her, bugged her, kept calling, kept bugging her, and then she finally said, come on in, and set me down for an appointment, and from there, my life changed. I didn't have a job. I was looking for a job. I finally got a job, and I grew from there. And then that was the change of my life. I got involved in other things in the community, became involved in creating change. I kind of like, they were my toolbox, or my tools. And then from there, I just flourished, you know.
Wow.
And
yeah, let's give God a hand for that. That's wow. Go ahead. Wow.
So now, I play an active role in Women's Co-op. I sit on the membership board for the membership. I sit on Community Action Board. So I really have taken my role of what it means to be a co-op member and what it means to help others, because that's my vision.
I had a chance to hear part of your story, and I'm definitely going to want you to share more of that. But I like to first find out, I was at a meeting just last week, and the statement was that Battle Creek has a lot of different things going on. We're not able to identify who's doing what and who the leaders are, et cetera, et cetera. Now, as a pastor, I have a lot of individuals that come to me very germane to what you're saying. Bishop, I'm trying to go to work. I can't get child care, or the child care is too expensive. They got me in a certain pay bracket, and I really can't afford it. Sometimes they quit their job. Is that something, being an organization, I realize I can't do everything, just like you can't do everything, but who are the people that were supposed to give you a phone call? Who are they? What position When are they not qualified to get your services?
There is never a not qualified to get co-op services, because what we're creating is a community network of women and resources.
Okay.
So if you just want to be a part of it, you're a part of it. For some women, the women who receive actual services, so they shop in the co-op store, they use the member needs fund, they participate in the GED program, they get tuition assistance, they're usually typically low to no income, and that's why they get those services. But we do have women who come who don't need co-op services. They want to offer co-op services. So I want to be there to give a sister a ride if she needs it. If that's all that separates her from getting a job, let me be that person that can offer that ride.
If there's anyone that's watching us live on Facebook and you are a member of Co-op, I would like for you to share some of your experiences with us and feedback. So what I do is I create subjects to bring interest. So you said that you lived in a trailer. So the stereotype is what?
Trailer park trash.
Trailer park trash. You said that, I didn't say that. So, is that what you were saying? And I hate that's a stereotype, but there's other people that have other things. Is that
I think that it's a stereotype too. And here's
so explain, help me out.
Here's a history thing that
give
I
me
really
history,
like.
please.
When trailer parks first came into existence, like in the 50s, 60s, I might have the time right, but somewhere around in there, they were developed because not everybody could experience the American dream of buying a home, right?
Okay.
And so you got these cheaper, more economic models. They were mobile homes.
Okay.
And they were a good thing. They gave working class folks a chance to have a home. But that's depreciated over time. And now if you live in a trailer park, it's kind of third world living conditions. We have a couple of nice trailer parks that are known in town, like, Rolling Hills.
Off of Morgan Road.
Yeah, some of the nice parks, Bedford. But then you get into these parks where it's predatory. Everybody knows that if you live in poverty, there are things in this community that are predatory towards that. Okay, I'm sorry, I know this is live, but Triangle Mobile Home Park, predatory. Trailers have big gaping holes in them. There's bad plumbing. There's bad wiring. The windows leak. They sell these homes 5 times over to folks that have no money. Why do they do it? Why would I take a home at Triangle Mobile Home Park is what you would say to me, right?
Yes.
Because there isn't anything else. Because affordable housing is not plentiful in our community. And when you do go out to get what is nicer, affordable housing, you have to earn a certain amount of money. You have to qualify. So if you have bad credit or you're very low income, if you're a single mom on minimum wage with 3 kids, you're not going to live at the Pines. Sorry. And so what is your alternative? Especially if you're a person who's been struggling in poverty, you've been evicted at least once and probably 6 times. That follows you on your record. Who else is going to rent to you besides that predatory person?
And this is
there's stigma that goes with it.
And this is no longer about color.
No, it is not. Poverty does not discriminate.
Talk more about that.
I will say from doing this work that there is ignorance if you think everybody can be in poverty. White, black, brown, we're all in poverty. And it's the same. It doesn't discriminate. However, getting out of poverty, I think, is harder for families of color because they don't always have just that poverty barrier, but they also have that color barrier and all the stigmatism and everything and the rules that go with that, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's good stuff. How do we get in this position? How do a young lady become 20, 30 without anything and have to knock on the door for help? How do we get there? How do we get there?
It's sometimes I think it's generational because it stems from lack of education when you're growing up. So your parents didn't teach you, then you can't teach somebody else. So my mom didn't teach me how to financially be right. Who does? Who does teach their kid back in the 80s or the 90s how to write a check? They don't even teach you in school. Still don't teach you in school how to write a check, how to be
balance the ledger.
Yeah.
There are people that don't even balance the ledger
Yes.
now.
They don't. You don't know that.
Right.
You're not taught that. So then, when you get grown and you get an adult, you make the same financial mistakes. So now I'm poor because I didn't invest. I didn't achieve anything. So now I'm living from paycheck to paycheck. And hopefully I get a good job and make double digits. Then maybe I can break some of the cycle. But I'm still living paycheck to paycheck. And that's just the way the cycle goes over and over.
And upward mobility is not an easy thing, right?
No.
Say that again. Say it louder.
Upward mobility is not an easy thing. I am one of the first in my family to simply graduate from high school, and I did it with a GED, but I'm one of the first in my family to do that. I'm one of the first in my family to attend college. So does that mean that for me, my generation got easier and I had it good? Well, no, because I carried myself and all my peeps with me to that next milestone.
So Teresa, help me out, and I'm loving this conversation. Help me out. As an African American male who sometimes appeared to specialize with African American men, I may make a generalized statement and say, well, you don't know what it's like to be poor. The black man or the black woman's plight is so much different. But you're telling me right now that you got a pretty tough story. When you hear that, how can you get me to engage better so I can reach everybody and not, or am I alienating the white race when I don't specialize with the white race? Because you have some real, true stories of what you're saying. And I remember your testimony, and it's awesome, and I want you to have time to share it. But when you hear that from a black leader, if that's what I am, how does that make you feel? I'm reversing
I think it makes me feel like that's who you resonate with. I don't think that as a Christian, as a man, or as a reverend, that your door is closed to me.
Okay.
It's not, because you've already opened it a couple times to me. It's
absolutely.
been pretty cool. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Love it.
So I don't think it means that you don't have empathy for me or that you wouldn't open a door to me, because you absolutely do. Same as I do. But the reality of it is no matter how long I do this work, I am never going to truly know what it's like to be a black woman. How could I? I'm not a black woman. I can have empathy. I can respect a struggle. I can listen. Same for you. You are never, and I'm sorry for this, but you're never going to know what it's like to be a white woman.
Right.
You're not a white woman.
No.
Or a poor white woman, or a rich
man.
white woman, or a white man. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Never.
But what we can do as people
Yes.
is we can listen, and we can respect each other, and we can open doors. And,
Listen, respect, open doors.
and have communication, right?
Awesome.
That's what's most important.
That absolutely. So, I was gonna have Teresa say something, but Ramika, one more time. So tell me, you came to Battle Creek. What was the age bracket you said?
I was probably.
You don't have to go there if you want to. Just were you an adult?
Yeah, I was an adult.
Okay, with a child.
With a child.
With a child.
Yeah.
So how dad come and go? Where dad?
My dad?
No, father of child.
Father of child, prison.
Okay.
He was in and out of incarceration pretty much my whole daughter's life. So.
And I ask this question to every young lady on my show. What is it that draw us to men like that?
What?
Huh?
Well, love. You think you in love. You think you in love. And
did he have a past record prior to meeting you?
Yeah.
And you thought you could change him?
No. I just thought I was Bonnie and Clyde.
Bonnie and Clyde. I see your eyes sparkling. I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, I thought we was Bonnie and Clyde. I love that man. I did. You know?
Okay.
But I totally feel you.
But it comes a time in your life when you gotta let Clyde go, because Bonnie has to move on and do better for herself.
Wow.
And so Bonnie has decided to give up on Clyde because Clyde want to be Clyde.
I like that. So what's your daughter's name, if you don't mind?
Adia.
How do you share that with Adia? Because you want Adia to still love her father. Or tell me how you deal with that.
I deal with it gracefully. Like to the point where I try to have that conversation with him, but he's not at that point yet.
Okay.
So,
and that's painful.
Yeah. So
to see your daughter painful.
Yeah, because she hurts, I hurt,
right,
and everybody hurts in the situation.
Right.
So I just have to be at peace with the situation.
I want you two to help me out. I've had this conversation before. As an African American, I saw a lot, but I was blessed to make different choices. So I don't have those same stories. I don't have those same testimonies. And my ministry was okay. But when you got people that had some real issues, whether it was empathy, sympathy, or apathy, I just kind of couldn't relate. Then when I became, when my wife got sick and I was started working in Memphis as a manager at FedEx, I started meeting another type of people. 21-year-old ladies with children at home working part-time and trying to go to school. And broken homes. And I started seeing life a little different. But then just the other day, I met a young lady, 17 years old, in the system, and she has a child. She said she'd been in the system since she was 3 years old. And of course, we can't mention names, so just give you a story. 3 years old, in the system, and then was basically molested or raped by a foster brother. And she's 17. We don't ever want to take God out the equation. You're being an ordained minister. We don't take God out the equation. And I know God is here, so we will deal with God in a minute, because we all know He's ultimate. But can a person like that make it? Yes. Can a person like that, she has great dreams, how can I be equipped to feel that? Do I need apathy? Do I need sympathy? What am I supposed to do when I hear something like that? Director.
I think it's sympathy and understanding, but it's helping that young woman build resilience, because it's something that was never afforded her and can be afforded to her at any day that she wakes up and decides that she wants it. She just has to have people around her to help her build it. And to know that that story doesn't define her. Her past doesn't define her future story. It defines her past. And it was ugly and it was awful. And at several points, I hope that someone told her she didn't deserve that. And if she's listening, I hope you understand that you didn't deserve that. And that's awful, but you write your future story now. And yeah, she can come back from that. Of course she can.
Y'all hear that? Y'all hear that? Yes. I mean, that's what we're talking about. That's powerful. So then I add more to the equation. And her love, she kept the child. And the child, is the dad is the foster brother. And she did it. And she wanted to be an author. She wanted to make it. And when I hear that, that's what tells me. So, ordained minister. I had this conversation before. And I know you preaching whatever you're doing, so both of y'all. Now I'm going to talk like the advocate. Okay, I've already done the seminary. I got all that. But I'm going to come like the advocate. 3 years old, been molested. 17 years old. Raped by her foster brother. And the preacher's up talking about Jesus' love. He cares about you. He's a loving God. And she's sitting there like saying, well, where was he? How would you answer that?
Who? Put me on the spot there.
Well, hold on. Let me read his resume first. It said New Harvest Christian Church, ordained November 2016. You better text your pastor. I need help on this one. Talk to me. Talk to me.
Okay, so me personally, if somebody was to come up to me and spill that out, I would be taken back for a minute because, that's a lot, But I would always say, to the person, God's going to pull you through. Because at the end of the day, it wasn't meant for it to happen to you. But God's going to see you through it.
But why didn't he see me through it when I was 3?
I had to take him to Jeremiah 29 and 1. And 11, because we don't know what God has planned for us. Okay. We don't know what God has in store for us. Okay. We don't know what God has written for us in our life. Okay. Only God knows.
Okay.
And as painful as it may be that something like this happened to you, you have to realize that God's in control. Yeah. And God's going to work it out for your good. Yeah. And I would just pray for him.
Okay. Teresa, what would you do?
I would hug him.
Hug him, yeah.
Because everybody needs a hug.
Yeah.
Everybody needs that. That right there is powerful enough just to hug.
Teresa, you says here, you have background and you've done some things in ministry and working with people. How would you deal with that? How would you communicate with that? Teresa, I'm really mad at God. I'm really mad. I'm angry.
I think I would tell her that's okay. I'm kind of angry at him for you. But that, we have limited sight distance. And I'm able to say that to you because about a year ago.
Limited, say that one more time.
Limited sight
distance. We have
distance.
limited sight
distance.
Y'all, we can't see everything God can see.
Nope. And it came to me when, so I had a previous board member and I were sharing about what happens when you leave this world and you die. And he's atheist, and I'm not. And so we were having this, kind of discussion. And I got to tell you, the next day, this discussion was still rocking my world. I'm like, my faith, it falters sometimes. And especially when I meet a lot of young women that have stories like that. And I asked myself, like, where were you?
Yeah, where were you?
Where were you when this was happening to her? And so I'm driving down Golden Avenue, heading towards the office. And I'm thinking about this. And I'm praying. And then I'm asking myself, like, who am I praying to? Like, is he really there? Because you could go either way that day with me. And then all of a sudden, you have that urge, like that hair that stands up on the back of your neck. And I look over to my right, and there's a road sign there that says limited sight distance. And I had to look up and go, all right, I get it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I would say to her. Like, we don't know. We're human beings. Look at Job. Look at the stuff that happened to that poor man. I was so angry as a new Christian because I wasn't born a Christian, believe it or not. And I didn't become a Christian early on in life. It was much later in life. And the first time I read Job, I was so angry. I'm like, is this how it is? Like, you have these gods that are in the heavens and they're tormenting us, and God's saying, go ahead, torment Romika if you feel like it this week. She won't bend. I mean, I was outraged by that story. And then you have to realize that the story is about faith and having faith in God regardless of what it is that you're going through.
Wow. And Romika, that was great too. I don't want to give too much of a commentary right this second, but I would like to say if you are hurting If you have had that, hey, God, where you at? That moment of, boy, I'm really upset with you. If you just think about Jesus on the cross, he basically said in English term, why have you forsaken me? I mean, he flat out asked God, I'm up here, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I lived a really good life, spotless, and I'm still dying. I believe, and my belief is really not that important. You have to get your own belief. But I think the nature of people are the results of the problems we have. And then God himself can make a bad out of good. I really believe that. And with that statement, tell me some of your story. How did a Caucasian, because you must understand, I could be narrow-minded. I remember there was a TV show and somebody said, if you had a chance to be white, would you want to be white? And folks said, well, you get benefits being white. Well, I never want to be white, okay? But there's people that would say, you're lucky. But how did a Caucasian lady like you get in that situation? What happened? What went wrong? What didn't wrong? And tell me part of that story you shared with me a while back, because that's so powerful. How did you get there?
Because I think poverty doesn't discriminate, and I was born a poor white child in the ghetto to a mother who...
You was born in the ghetto?
In the ghetto.
Where's the ghetto at?
In Toledo, Ohio.
You were born in the ghetto?
Well, actually, I was born in Augsburg, Germany, but I grew up in Toledo, Ohio.
Okay.
My dad was in the Army, but my parents divorced young. My mother didn't have that foundation that Romika was talking about. She couldn't teach me what she needed to teach me as a young woman, and probably very early on in life, like maybe 10, I remember looking at my mother in these endless domestic violent relationships that she would get in with these men that didn't work and would hit her.
In Toledo.
In Toledo. And I would say as a young girl, why does she do this? And I would know without a shadow of a doubt that when I became a woman, I wouldn't live that life. Well, guess what? At 31, I was holding my mother's ashes because she died at the hands of her abuser. She was 57 years old. She had a heart attack while her boyfriend, partner, significant other, whatever you want to call him, was beating her. And
okay, so let's stop. Hold on. So when you was a little girl, you saw your mom go through abuse.
Mm-hmm.
But then she stayed until 27 years later and actually died because of abuse?
Yes. And it wasn't just with one partner. My mother chose several partners over the years that not only abused her, but abused me. I was molested at 11 years old. I was raped by a stepfather. And so at 31, sitting on the end of this bed, I have an infant son. He's only, I think, 8 weeks old at the time, 9 weeks old, something like that. And his father was in prison. And I was waiting for him to come home. And the reason he was in prison was because while we were together, he raped his other baby mamas in front of his 3- and 5-year-old daughters.
The father of your child?
Yes. And I'm waiting for him to come home because he didn't mean it. And what a wake-up call when I'm holding my mother's ashes. And so my brother lived in Battle Creek, Michigan. He came for the funeral. I said, whatever I can get in the back of my truck, I'm going to put in there, and I want to come live in Battle Creek. Can I do that? And he said, yeah, come. So I did. And, you get on 94 and you start heading towards this new life, and you think, okay, I'm going to leave the men behind and the bad choices. I'm not going to work in a bar. I'm going to raise my babies. This is going to be great, right? I've got some family support there. Well, none of that happened because the only thing I'd ever done was be a barmaid or a bar waitress. So when I got here, my first job was in a bar. And I walked to work 8-9 miles every night to get to work and home to take care of my babies. And the struggle was real. And I saw the struggle was real for the women around me too. And so one night I go to my refrigerator, I open it up to make dinner, and I literally had a little bit of milk in a gallon and a pack of pork chops, and that was it. And I remember, the kids were off in the other room and had already said they were hungry. And I remember just falling down on the floor in front of the refrigerator and sobbing because I was literally doing everything I could to make a different life for us, and it wasn't working. And so I picked up the phone. Luckily, this was my blessing from God. This was my God moment. And I called my best friend at the time and said, I'm going to send the kids back to Ohio. I can't keep them here and ask them to live this life. Like, I have to send them to their grandparents. And she said, what's going on? And I said, I have pork chops in my refrigerator. Like, I can't even feed my kids. I work and I can't even feed them. 20 minutes later, there's this knock at the door, and she's got a bag of potatoes and a couple cans of green beans and a jar of applesauce and the game Twister, which I now love. I wasn't fond of it then, but I love it now. And an hour later, we were like full-bellied eating dinner on the floor with these kids playing Twister, and I'm laughing my butt off.
This is all in Battle Creek?
All in Battle Creek. And that night, I looked at her and said, we shouldn't be tending bar anymore. We shouldn't be bar waitresses. We should be in the friend business. We should give up what we know, and we should be in the friend business. And the next day, we created a flyer that said, do you struggle with these things? All the things we were struggling with. Well, if you do, meet us in Lat 37M. We're going to talk about it. Kitchen table, much like this. Wow. And it just grew from there into, and you know, after being the executive director and doing this with Romika and lots of women like her, after about 10 years into it, I thought, maybe it's not about that anymore, right, Romika? Maybe it's about the awesome GED program we offer. Maybe it's about the tuition assistance. Maybe it's the rent assistance we give. Maybe it's not about that feeling of sharing a meal anymore. And so we had a focus group with our membership that Romika's group helped us to lead. And we said, what is it about? Why did Romika find success at Women's Co-op where she hadn't found it in other places? It's the love, it's the empathy, it's the respect, it's the peer support, it's knowing that you care. Like, I can tell you, her and I had a vile argument on Friday over some leadership things. And you would not have thought us two leaders at the time, because we were in the hallway yelling at each other like, no. But at the end of the day, this woman knows I love her and that I respect her as a leader, and it's ditto on the other side of the fence. Because we can be different people. I mean, it's pretty obvious that we're not the same people, right? I mean, the first thing is Romika's black and I'm white.
I didn't catch that. But
you didn't. See, okay, we're good.
I don't see color.
Well, I hate to tell you, my friend, but the world is filled with it. And, you know, so we have differences. We have other differences, too. I'm married right now. She's not. Before she was married and I wasn't. Like, we have differences. We have things that make us similar, too. And we have a similar mission in life, which is to help other women like us that were lost. I'm not the only one that had that mother. And by the way, my mother was not a bad mother, neither was Romika's. They did the best they could with what they had, but knowledge is power. So Romika and I want to give these other young women that knowledge, that you don't have to be in that relationship. You can have more respect for yourself than that.
Come on. Wow. So, are you all funded by a foundation or community organization?
So we're funded by Battle Creek Community Foundation, W.K. Kellogg Foundation, and, you know, the usual suspects. We're a project of United Way. Right. But it's donors that make the difference, because grants fund programs. So they buy me GED books. They get Romika some books for Bridges Out of Poverty. It can pay for those things. Right. But it doesn't pay for my salary to be there. Right. It doesn't pay for my program coordinator. It doesn't keep the lights on. Right. Exactly. Donors do that.
Exactly. So, I don't want to call it enrollment, but do you see this still being a need? Or are people aware of this? I had that conversation with you before. Romika, are people aware? Are the African American ladies aware of this kind of program? Are they in our churches? Are there women in our churches that need this kind of services but afraid or too proud to admit it?
I believe that the African American women do know about this program. I think that they should know more about it, actually, because there's a lot of help out there. And I've always been the one that feels that one shop shop. Like, you go there and you can get a lot of your needs helped, you know, if you need your GED, if you need schooling. But the one thing I do have to say is, You have to stay connected. Once you get involved, it's not about getting your needs met and then flying off. It's about staying connected to the system because you never know what you can get out of it,
So-
And that's what a lot of people do. They just come and then they don't stay connected to the system, and then they miss out.
Okay.
And with Women's Co-op, it's not a hand out, it's a hand up. So our goal is to get you to where you need to be, stabilized, child care, job, and all those different things. The goal is not to pay for your senior classes and then never see you again.
Yeah, because the other really important part of what we do, which is a big role that Romika plays, because she's a paralegal and has passion and background in law and civic engagement. And she already alluded to earlier that she plays big roles in the community and is very interested in things that are happening in Battle Creek. But we not only want to help families, we then want those families to come to the table and have conversations with people at other tables, of which, like, you sit on steering committees for, and talk about what is it going to take together to change this thing called poverty in Battle Creek, so that the next time we read a post, it says that Battle Creek is the best place to raise your children.
So, as a father, and thank God my daughter's 24 now, she did pretty good for herself, okay? So I have an 11-year-old, okay? She's in the audience. So far, she's on the straight and narrow. How can your message prevent her from having some of those struggles so she don't have to need your program? What would you say to that 11-year-old that is, she's impressed with stuff? She probably like boys.
Yeah.
She probably like to dress certain ways.
Probably.
To make boys look at her. But she's 11. And we know as adults, if she's not careful, she may be at this table sharing her story. What's your message to try to help her stay on course?
Well, there's another group out there, and she was a member at Women's Co-op. Gems.
They're coming on the show in a couple weeks.
And I would say that would be a good place for her to be.
Okay.
And see, what it's about is it's not trying to hoard everybody for us.
Absolutely.
It's about spreading the love. And if you know something, or you know another organization that will fit in that person's life at that time, then yes, spread the thing. What everybody wants to do is my, and don't want to help. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but I believe you two still got a message. I want to hear, what would you say to that young 11-year-old? What would you say to her to keep her on track? I want to hear what you would say.
I would say, honey,
you
do not want to go down the road that I went through. Now, I can lead you by example, or you can lead yourself. Because if you lead yourself, you might run into little walls, trying to lead yourself. But if you want to take my advice, I would say stay in school.
Stay in school.
Get good grades.
Get good grades.
Lead them boys, them tacky boys alone.
Lead the tacky boys.
And listen to your dad.
And what you call his name again? Clyde. Leave Clyde alone.
Yeah, leave Clyde alone.
Leave Clyde alone. Got to leave Clyde alone.
Leave Clyde alone.
Okay.
You gotta leave Clyde alone.
And Ray Ray.
And Ray Ray. And listen to your dad. Because if I would have listened to the people that loved me.
Yes.
And listened to the people who cared about me, I'd probably be still sitting here, but my life would be a little bit different.
Wow. What would you say? How would you have that 11-year-old?
I think that I would tell her that if my 10-year-old self could have talked to my 30-year-old self, or if my 52-year-old self could go back and talk to my 15-year-old self, big differences. So I would say baby girl, your 40-year-old self is probably in kitchen making you dinner or packing your lunch right now.
Ah, good.
So you trust her and you have those conversations with you because she's been 11. She's been where you are. She's had all those same feelings. That's what I would say to her.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. That's good, y'all. That's good. That's very good. And that's important to me. We're in the process of starting a rites of passage program for the young ladies, and also with the new facility that we're planning on getting, we want to definitely accommodate your organization to be able to help out, because you said something that startled me, and I think we talked about it, but I was waiting for you to get on the show. You mentioned that in Battle Creek we have what you call the TV show is called Taken. What is that called again? When people abduct kids and turn them into sex slaves and all that stuff?
Oh, sex trafficking.
Sex trafficking. Mm-hmm. It was mentioned that Battle Creek does have that or something like that.
Well, we're on a loop.
Yeah, tell me more about that, Lou.
And I don't know.
I want my 11-year-old to hear it. I want all the children to hear it. But tell me about that story you told us about.
I don't know a lot, but it's that we're on
Chicago,
94.
Yeah, the 94. Chicago, Detroit.
Those bigger cities where trafficking really is happening.
Okay.
But they'll cruise through Battle Creek and
gotta go through Battle Creek
and get women.
Mm-hmm. And where would they get them? Where are they at? Where are these girls? If anyone knows more about that information, I really would like you to come on my show and explain more about it. But they're on 94. I got that part. Detroit, Chicago. Boom. Detroit East, Chicago West. I got that. Small Battle Creek. But they get off at 94 and they just find them at the schools. Where they find them
They
at?
probably find them at
truck stops. People who are...
But why would a child be at a truck stop?
Runaway,
recruited. There are men. Like Romika said, what was she looking for? She was looking for love, right? So if I'm a young woman and I'm in a home that's not that great, and I'm not getting taken care of and getting my needs met there, then I'm going to go find that man. And he's going to tell me, oh, baby, you're great, and tell me everything that he knows I want to hear until he talks me into being in that situation. Wow. And they get led that way.
And that's probably
some
why
women just get taken.
And that probably is why they're saying Battle Creek is not a good city, because of the runaway. I don't know why they're saying it, but that's probably the reason why.
Well, I think the last time they were saying it had to do with crime statistics, but I think that a city is so much more than its statistics, right? Yeah. We're so much bigger than that.
Yeah. And the school. I think they mentioned the school was one issue too. The closing of the schools. I think that was one too. So I noticed you've already mentioned the paralegal aspect. So you received your associate in paralegal?
Yes. And
wow. We only have 5 minutes left of the show, and I'm telling you all were just exciting. Hey, can you give me like 1 minute of something you want to share to your audience, to your people? You got it. It's your floor, and I just really appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. But got 1 minute, say something to the audience. Romika.
I would just say stay encouraged and stay lifted up, and that Women's Co-op is out there to help. That's all.
I'm stealing from you and something you said the other day.
Okay.
Ready for it?
Yeah.
Stay woke.
Stay woke.
Romika said that to me in class this week, and I was like, stay woke. What is that?
Pastor preached that at a service last Sunday, and he said, stay woke.
Wow.
I think it's this. I think it's opportunities for folks to get together that normally wouldn't get together and have a conversation, but be open to that and look for those opportunities, because that is how we're going to grow as a community, is by actually being a community, which is what we're trying to do.
Hey, y'all, this is the table, the kitchen table. I always end by acknowledging my ancestors, my grandparents, Leo Dell Perry Sr. and Ruby Elizabeth Perry. Those are my mother parents, Mother Georgia Howard. And on my father's side, Edward West Smith, I'm named after him, and Gussie Smith, and my father, the late Father Hugh Smith. We have to connect. Like you mentioned, somebody in the family. You had your brother that let you come home. That wasn't something. I want to encourage everybody, still connect. Still connect. That's where your network is. That's where your power is. And I want to thank these two ladies here. We're going to pray together, and we're going to give a donation again to this organization, because what you're doing is a powerful part of the ministry. Father, we thank you.
Thank you, Jesus.
We thank you for these wonderful ladies that have given us insight to reality. Thank you for their truth. Thank you for their transparency. And God, honor them. And if there's any pain that they still feel from yesterday, as my sister said, yesterday no longer defined her. Today is her new day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Good job, y'all. Thank you. Very, very, very.
The world won't get no better if we just let it be. No, 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 no. Pick up all the doctors, make the people well. They're the ones who suffer and who catch all the hell.
AccessVision, your voice, your community.